Good afternoon, everybody. I wish I could be there, but unfortunately I can't. But I'm glad to see that there's a lot of faces there, so it's good to see everybody there. I want to talk a little bit about our campaign here, but before I start, and this is for everybody in the room, but for everybody out there also, I want everybody to here just take a moment and think back to the very first time you walked into this house as a student. For some of you, that's pretty recent. For some of us, it's ancient history. And then I want you to think about the last time you walked out of there, right after you graduated. You know, none of us knew it at the time, but the friendships that we started building, they were going to last for the rest of our lives. You know, today I want to talk about three things: what we're doing, why we're doing it, and the progress that we're making. And before I start, I know we've got brothers joining from all over the place and also sort of there in the house. So I just want to thank everybody for coming and for being here. So first, what are we doing? Eli's going to talk in detail, but from my perspective, you know, we're trying to build a house, to make our house a place that matches the strength of our brotherhood. I believe we are the best fraternity at WPI. And I believe that's true for all of you, for the actives, and for all the alumni. But can we say the same thing about our fraternity house physically? Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think this house today fully represents who we are. As I said, Eli will talk about the renovation details, but at a high level, this $1 million campaign is about turning this house, our house, into a house that will support our brotherhood for decades to come. When we first began talking about this project, the original idea was simple. We wanted to fix the things that needed to be fixed right now. But as we started looking more closely at the house and thinking about the future of Mass Delta, we realized that we had an opportunity to do something much, much more. So instead of just solving a few short-term issues, we expanded the scope and we set $1 million campaign goal. We wanted to create a foundation for this fraternity for the next few decades, not years, but the next few decades. We don't intend to come back to you in a few years and ask for more money to fix the same problems again. So this is really your opportunity to make a difference, a lasting contribution to a place that means so much to so many of us. This campaign gives House Corporation the financial foundation it needs to significantly improve and maintain the house over time. It allows us to keep the house competitive with other housing options at WPI, to meet the expectations of today's students, to keep housing costs reasonable for our actives, to reduce our operating costs, and most importantly, to ensure that the house reflects the character and the excellence of our brotherhood. Now, the second question, why are we doing this? We're doing it because we believe in this brotherhood. As Dick Hooker always used to say, leave this place better than you found it. You know, we inherited this house from brothers that we never knew, but the experience that we had here changed us and made us who we are today. I was speaking recently with one of my fraternity brothers, Mark Galvin. I think Mark's on with us, hopefully. And I asked him why he decided to donate to this campaign. His answer was pretty simple. My experience here, the relationships I built, it changed me. It changed my life. I met my wife here. I met my best friends here, and they are still my best friends today. For the actives here today, you are just at the beginning of your journeys. Your brothers will be at your weddings. Your brothers will become the uncles and godparents to your children, and they'll remain part of your life as you grow older, right up until the very end. We truly are a lasting band of brothers. I was reminded of that recently in a very personal way. This spring, I'll have the sad privilege of going to Arlington to honor my fraternity brother, Brian Kelly, who passed away last year. Brian was a colonel in the United States Air Force, and he was one of the finest men I've ever known. He was truly a brother hero. Not just when he was in school, but everything he did after that. When I spoke with his wife after he passed away, she told me how much this fraternity meant to Brian and how much it meant to her as well. because they met here at this house where you guys are. That's why the physical place does matter. Moments like this remind you that fraternity isn't just 4 years, it's a lifetime. This house was our home for 4 short years, but during a very crucial time in our lives. Here we learned about friendship, leadership, responsibility. Most importantly, we learned what it means to be a true gentleman. You know, it's not easy to grow up these days. It's not easy to be a young man these days. And I believe that Mass Delta is more important today than ever, helping to turn young men into responsible adults, into leaders, and into true gentlemen. You know, what we have here is something very rare in the world. It's a connection between all of us that lasts a lifetime. The friendships we form don't end here when we graduate. They grow with us throughout our lives. And that kind of lifelong bond is something very, very rare. And as we strengthen the physical foundation of this house, we will also have the opportunity to strengthen the connections between brothers by expanding programs that help connect alumni with actives and help alumni connect with each other. That's why this campaign matters. And I'm very pleased to report that because of the leadership and the generosity of many brothers here, we have already raised $720,000 to our $1 million goal. That means we're only $280,000 away from finishing this campaign. What's especially exciting is that we've reached this point with only 29 brothers donating so far. That means there's this tremendous opportunity for the rest of us to help push this campaign over the goal line and exceed our $1 million target. Today, I'm asking every brother to participate in this campaign. This is a great moment to join the effort. Whether it's $5,000, $500, $50, or $5 today or spread out over the next few years, every gift gets us closer to the goal. What I would really like to see is our brotherhood united in this effort with all of you participating in some way. And all of us are going to be participating in a different way. But we can do this together. We've set ourselves a goal to finish this campaign by August 1st, because in August, we're going to gather again at the SAE golf tournament, and we're going to celebrate that we've hit this goal or we've exceeded this goal. To get there, we need to raise about $70,000 a month between now and August, or about $17,000 a week. I know very many of you, and I know that we can do this. Over the coming months, we're going to give you frequent updates on the progress that we're making. You'll hear stories from your fellow brothers about why they're contributing and what this fraternity means to them. But I want to start by thanking the brothers that have already stepped up. So let me start by thanking my partner in crime, Ron Settergren, who's on with us today, who's made a significant donation as part of the matching gift to the campaign. But Ron has also generously committed to the proceeds from the golf tournament to this campaign for the next 10 years. So Ron, thank you very much for everything you've done. I hope all of you are going to sign up to play in the tournament, but if you don't play, please come to the dinner and celebrate with us, because we're going to be celebrating a really important milestone. I also want to thank Don Peterson. Don has supported this fraternity for literally decades, and he continues to do so with another significant gift. And of course, Arlie. Arlie, you've been leading our efforts for many years. This campaign and this project wouldn't be possible without you. Thank you for everything you've done and for everything that you're currently doing. And I also want to thank Eli and the House Corporation for the enormous amount of work you're putting into this renovation and everything you do for the fraternity. You guys are the unsung heroes, and we're grateful for your leadership and all of your efforts. I also want to thank all of you who've already made donations. Too many to go through into here, but please know that we thank you from our hearts for your generosity and faith in this brotherhood and in this campaign. I also want to thank all the brothers who are serving on the fundraising committees and those reaching out across all the class years. Your conversations and your personal connections are the backbone of this campaign. I want to ask all of you for your help. We need more brothers to volunteer and to help with the campaign. We need class agents. We need committee members who are willing to reach out to their fellow brothers. It doesn't take much time, just a willingness to make a few calls and reconnect with your fellow brothers. Brothers don't respond to emails for asking for donations. They respond to you. They respond to your phone calls, your conversations, and your personal outreach. That outreach, by the way, is a wonderful opportunity to reconnect with the brothers who mean the most to you. So please join us. Join this campaign. Help us make a difference. Help us get the ball over this $1 million goal line. And if you're thinking about making a gift, do it now. You know, the brothers before us took care of this house so that we could have the experience that we had here. Now it's our turn to do the same thing for the generations that will follow us. If this house means something to you, if the friendships you built help shape the person you became, then I hope every one of us will find a way to participate in this campaign, because what we're really doing here today is making the next generation of brothers, making sure they have that same opportunity that we did. So brothers, thank you for everything that you've already done. Thank you for listening, and thank you for all the things that we're going to do. Phi Alpha, thank you. Eli, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Rick. That was great. I will get us started with the rest of the meeting. Thank you all for joining. As Rick said, I'll echo a couple of his first initial thoughts. So first here, I just want to show the spread of donations we've received thus far. And I want to reiterate, thank you for everybody who's donated. And you can see we have it split out by class decade here. I selfishly did want to include this because you see the 2020s are represented well here. And I just want to echo what Rick said, how every donation matters. We're really looking for participation here. So it's not as much the magnitude as much as the participation we're looking for. And we really appreciate everybody who's been able to participate thus far. And then again, what Rick said, we're really fortunate. Our campaign last time 10 years ago, we raised $700,000 with 85 donors, and we've already hit that mark with just a third of the donors. So as Rick said, there's plenty of opportunity left for us to hopefully exceed our $1 million goal we have for this campaign. And as you can see, we've already made such great progress. We've funded up about 4 of our goals, and we're in process for the 5th right now. And I'll kind of get in later into my presentation how tactically we're going to get through these goals, and then I'll field any questions after that. But just really appreciate, again, everybody's hard work for getting us 70% there, and then really excited to see where we can go these next couple months to get across the finish line here. First up is our first project is the White House exterior. That's already set to begin this summer. We're very excited. We've been working on the project plans with an architect for about a year on this project, and we're set to break ground June 1st. The total cost will be $225,000, and the work will both improve the look of the house and then also the heat. I know anybody who's lived up on Third Deck White like myself will be really appreciative of this. It gets cold up there these winters we have out in Worcester, so I'm really excited for this. It'll be a great opportunity to, one, improve the house, and then look-wise and functionality-wise. And yeah, like I said, work will begin this summer, and I'm really proud to say we've been able to fund this completely through the donations we already have on hand. So there's no impact to our finances through the generosity we've had through the campaign. We've already through the money we've already raised through the campaign. And then one quick shout, Mass Save is coming in a few weeks to hopefully even give us potentially more money back on this project. So that's not shown here yet. Then I'll take a step back. I want to, before I get into the next the next steps of our campaign, I want to take a step back to show how we've gotten here as a board. This shows back to 2020, what the work we've done. And we've kind of centered around 2 things. We've wanted to grow our investment base and then also balance out our sheet in a more advantageous way. We had a pretty significant mortgage. You'll see the gold bars in the left chart there. And then we were able to take advantage of a very small interest rate during COVID, a fixed rate during COVID time that allowed us to aggressively pay down that mortgage over the last 5 years while maintaining an asset base, as you see the purple chart. Sorry, the purple bars in the left-hand chart. You'll see that then on the right, we've been able to maintain the gold on the bottom there is our cash reserves. That's 1 year of expenses we always keep in a money market. That way it's liquid and we're able to use it if anything should arise. Anything above that is split into mutual funds that's been able to grow the last 5 or so years, and you can see the growth there. And that is what the real gist of our work has been centered around. We've been attempting to grow that base. Our goal previously was $500,000. That way, it would give us about conservatively $15,000 to $25,000 annually for investments back into the house based off of a $5,000 fund. And then one thing I'd like to shout out too is I'm happy that we haven't seen these increases in rent or revenue. I'm sorry, we haven't seen these increases in our financial standing because of increasing rent on the undergrads. We've only increased it through the CPI, which is about 3.7% year over year, the past 5 years. The board is committed to keeping the housing for the undergrads as affordable as possible. And so that is how we've done that through the last 5 years. Additionally, I want to say that our budget annually includes about 25 to 20 to 25,000 in work each year that we expect to put in the house. That's budgeted each year for our rent that we receive, and that is not impacted on the chart on the right at all. We don't need to touch our investment base whatsoever for those projects. And I have a couple examples here: renovated porch, new stairs, something we do over the summer, just that we connect with the undergrads on, that we update as needed in the house. So we've been able to update the house and then maintain our investment base the last 5 or so years. And yeah, I'm excited because now we can really get into what this campaign has for potential impact going forward. So the future of Mass Delta with a successful campaign is what this slide will say. So on the left side, you can see that we have this is our typical annual rent revenue, about $125,000. 70,000 of that is fixed expenses. 30,000 of that is paying off that mortgage on Brown House, and 25,000 of that is that planned investment into the house over the summer that I mentioned before. So that's our current financial picture. That's what more or less Josh will explain and for our annual meeting coming up here later. Our next goal, the next series of White House improvements I mentioned through the campaign funding would be that next bar. So you see the 30,000. Where do we get that 30,000? That comes from our investment base growing to $750,000 in investments. That's about a 4% return annually on that balance. And we're almost at that point. If you remember back from that chart, the gold stars, we've already hit this through the $700,000 we've raised. Obviously, 200,000 of that's going to the connector. And so the rest will be in addition to our $300,000 investment base. So that 750,000 is more than achievable with where we are at now, which is really exciting. And that just gives us an additional potential investment to use, or we can stow it away for bigger projects to come. And so we can strategize, and that gives us really flexibility that we haven't had before to save up for bigger projects and not need to outsource for income to fund big projects. And then if you remember, right on the cusp of where we are on our campaign was the Brown House Fund. And you'll see that's the third bar there. So once we pay off that mortgage, that's $30,000 that flips from a debt to an income, keeping our rent the same. We now have another $30,000 that we can use to fund back into the house. So you'll see that on the right bar, this is after a successful campaign, this is what our new yearly income statement would look like. We still have the $70,000 in fixed expenses, but we now have potentially $55,000, so we can double our annual project work budget. So we can do twice as much work as we've been doing the past 5 years. And then we also have an additional at least $30,000 to either put in to combine with that annual work, or save down the line to do a bigger project like what we had slated, the White House bathroom, the White House hallways, and things like that. And one other thing I do want to point out is we've been focusing a lot on White House, and not to spark like a house controversy. I know that's always a heated battle, White House and Brown House, but it's great we're paying off the Brown House mortgage, but as you're paying off a mortgage, it's important to remember now, like, we've had that house for a while and things are going to come due for that house as well. So that is why we're very concerned with knocking out the problems in White House. So that way we can then shift our focus to Brown House because we know it's coming. But I think this, as you can see on the right side, we can, in the first bullet there, major investment renovations can be completely funded through this investment pool, and strategizing when we want to pull money out and when we want to keep it in, and just planning out projects from 2-3 years from now and investing and allocating money accordingly. And then two other notes I do want to shout out, because I think they're important from a board perspective. This increases our time. We're able to, as a board, focus on professional development and alumni support, which I think are two growing areas of the board, and we'll talk about that later. But as we nail the housing stuff and we strategize and have a real schedule of events for house updates, the board will then be able to support the undergrads in kind of new ways that we've been exploring the past few years as we've had added time and allocation and support on the board. And then the third bullet there, you'll see future gifts instead of necessarily being centered around a campaign like a connector or the siding, they can be really centered around undergraduate scholarship and opportunities like IQPs, events, SAE events around campus. We could really start to open up a lot of potential opportunities to help undergrads in ways that we maybe don't even know about right now once we knock out housing. Any initial questions on this slide? I guess I just want to make sure that everybody understands kind of our thought process here. And sorry if you're virtually, just so you could take yourself off mute too. But yeah, go ahead, Robbie.
So $50,000 seems like kind of a lot for the housing improvements. Do you have anything in particular that you guys have your eyes set on for, we get this money right now, what's our first project, anything like that?
Personally, I believe the next target should be a White House kitchen. I think the kitchen is what impacts the most brothers every single day. And also, the reason I would say the kitchen is because a large part of Rush is through our meals. I think I don't remember there being a lot of family style meals still had at Rush from other fraternities. I think that's something that sets us apart that we still continue to do. So I think if we can increase our kitchen quality, it increases our food quality, and increases potentially our Rush quality with all the food, because that's such a big element. So for me, I think the main things are the kitchen, the bathrooms, and the hallways of White House. Those are the three things we've had in the campaign. And then I think Brown House bathrooms would probably be something we have on our in our view as well.
And I think there we can develop a longer term strategy, figure out what the house actually needs to be done. And honestly, with even the equipment that we have, we know that there's usually a life cycle for things. We can actually stage everything and plan for things to be renovated to keep up with.
Exactly.
And I know it's listed in the wider one, even the individual rooms need to be placed in schedule to be renovated. So, because especially for the White House, we don't know what kind of electrical brouhaha in each of those rooms.
Room 7.
Yeah. Right. And so those are opportunities where we've never done it before. This is just from an annual standpoint, but I think it's much more what Eli's position is. This changes the way we plan things. So rather than being reactionary, this gives us time capacity and also scheduled where it's self-sustaining. That after this campaign, we're hoping that we're no longer fundraising to upkeep maintenance of the house, but rather the investment fund gives us the money that we need in the long term in perpetuity. And the rent, and right now the assumption is to just keep it flat or whatever, because we still have a lot of projects to do. And so for us, it's and actually, was it Eli who did the calculation? The real purchasing power of rent, it's actually been flat when we compared it to Matt and I when what we paid.
Oh yes, yeah.
So in terms of yes, you see in nominal terms rent has been going up, but from purchasing power standpoint, it's actually been a really good value.
Yep.
Been flat.
Yeah.
Which is our goal. Our goal is to keep rent as affordable, and we're not looking to mess with that. That was back to the CPI. We pretty much map it exactly to the CPI every year. Great. Any questions from anybody virtually? Sorry if I missed anything. Okay, great. All right, we'll continue.
Just real quick, I just want to say, I remember standing at this Matt Schultz, the quality of what you presented and the organization that I was found, I feel like I was did I even I feel like I was a middle schooler with what I was presenting as house operations. I just wanted to comment the work that you guys have done to put this stuff together is really, really impressive. I think levels beyond where we've been. So I guess you're really proud of what we've done, and I think what I see here is I trust you guys that are going to do what needs to be done with the money. I feel like it's very clear and transparent. So I just wanted to call it out. Great. Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it. I mean, it takes a village, as I'm sure you've all heard before. We have an awesome board, and we'll get more into that in our annual meeting. And we're lucky that we're all part of such a great organization that's itching to give back. So
a lot of great guys, and a lot of great minds working together here. Anyway, so we'll get right into the challenges and participation. So we'd love to get recognized people in classes who can unite and we see the thresholds here, 25,000, 10,000. I know my class is like right there. I'm really trying to work them a little bit. We're so close, and I want to get a plaque somewhere for one of the rooms. And if there's any classes out there that have something really specific they'd like to do, we're definitely willing to work with them and strategize how we're going to give recognition opportunities. As classes hit those, you'll definitely hear from us, and then we'll kind of lay out opportunities for you guys once those are reached. And then, of course, we have the bricks still for individual donors. I know that's always a hit. I remember always looking at the names when I was an undergrad myself. So I'm very excited we're able to do that. And then lastly, Rick shouted this out for his talk earlier, but we're really looking for class agents, and more so than just the donations. I mean, if you fancy yourself like a real linchpin of your class, if you always know like what's going on with everybody and how to contact everybody, that'd be great for us just to get in contact. Our current email alias, I think, has some holes. So if we're able to get in contact with you, and then you can relay our message out to the rest of your class, that's vital for us, not just for raising money, but for future events, staying in touch with the house. That's really what I'm concerned with moving forward, and that's would be great if we could establish some great connections for all classes, because obviously there's holes that come up. And then yeah, that is all I had for the campaign part of this. After this, we'll have our annual meeting, which we'll kind of discuss more specific things the board's gone through. But I guess now I just want to pause to see if there's any questions at all from anybody on the campaign, the structure of the campaign, how it's going to work, how we're going to approach post-campaign life, anything like that at all. All right, great. Sorry, Josh.
I'd quickly like to thank Matt Schultz, Harley Duncan, and Jacob Caballero. They've done a lot on the campaign raising side. So I know Eli and I have been not as involved with the actual campaign of the money. So they've done a phenomenal job doing that. I just want to take the time to thank you for their efforts, because we wouldn't be here without them. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Josh. It's a great shout. We would not be anywhere here without those three guys, and they've been doing great work for us.